So it's time I finally sit down and talk about the absolute trash bag that is the Seven Deadly Sins' anime. If you have followed me on social media, then you most likely have already seen the clip that I'm about to show. But if you're someone that has not watched the anime, but you've read the manga, honestly, this is probably going to disturb you and kind of make you sick. Because as someone that hasn't, really been actively following the anime until I heard some things about the latest episodes and been kind of caught back up with it, I was absolutely revolted at what I witnessed throughout the newest season of Taizai. So, I'm just going to show a clip that honestly just is outright disgusting. I obviously can't play audio because of copyright and stuff, but I will show the visuals on screen for you can see. So, with the visuals here, this is a iconic fight that honestly, I really hold dear to me when it comes to the Seven Deadly Sins. Escanor versus Meliodas. At this point in time of the story, Escanor is pretty much the strongest entity that we know of. But also Meliodas is someone that finally reaches his full assault mode as like a demon lord. And you're like, whoa, can he actually stand up to someone like Escanor, which is literally, our sun god, praise the sun. And when you look at this clip, it is just absolutely terrible. The way it looks honestly worse than a Fanimation. There is actually a Fanimation on YouTube, you can look it up yourself, for this fight that is actually 1,000 times better than what the real anime did for Escanor versus Meliodas. This honestly sickens me. It legitimately sickens me. But the question I think many are having right now is why? Why is the Taizai anime so laughably bad? Why is it literally a dumpster fire? Well, there's a lot of reasons for that, honestly, and I kind of want to get into that. So, if you are unaware, and you've just been watching the anime and you haven't really been paying attention to the staff, the studio, etc. that's working on the Taizai anime, Taizai had a studio shift at the beginning of the latest season. It shifted from A1 Pictures that was working on the first 2 seasons to Studio Dean. That's now working on the latest, anime. Now, let's be honest here. Studio Dean has quite the track record. When it comes to animation anime, they are well known for their derpy character faces, their animation or lack thereof, and it kind of worked out for Konosuba. This is one of the reasons why sometimes Studio Dean's typical animation art design, the way they do and sometimes lack of, can actually benefit a story/series, which is why I said Konosuba really, I think, gained a lot of popularity because of the derpy nature of their art. However, Taizai is obviously not a series that is going to benefit from that. So, quickly, many are going to jump on board and say it's Studio Dean's fault for why this latest season of Taizai is absolutely garbage. But that's not necessarily true. To get into it, basically, when it comes to the studio shift, when the hands of Taizai shifted over into Studio Dean obviously was not prepared to tackle this said project. It's very similar to what happened with One Punch Man Season 2. It was transferred over from Madhouse to JC Staff, and JC Staff tried their best. If you remember from last year, JC Staff really did try their best with Season 2. They did their absolute best, but obviously it was never going to be enough to make up for just the fantastic first season of One Punch Man, and even if Madhouse had it and they had the same director, there was never going to probably be the same level of quality to One Punch Man Season 2 just because of the phenomenal ties and, the things that the director had to do to bring people into the industry just to be able to make that season. So, JC Staff obviously was just straight up riding a sinking ship soon as Season 2 was given over to their hands. They never really had a chance but to honestly fail. But they did give it the best they possibly could. And obviously the project being slung over to them, there might not have been enough time to really adjust to being able to do this project when their hands are already full with a bunch of other anime and stuff they were already previously working on. And so you fast forward to where we're at now, this is where Taizai comes in. A1 Pictures threw the project basically over to Studio Dean. Studio Dean most likely was not really properly prepared to tackle this and hold on to this project because it was just given to them forcefully, and because of that fact, obviously the anime is suffering for that. So, at the end of the day, what is the real reason to why the anime is doing bad? Yes, it's obviously the studio shift. Is it Studio Dean's fault? Somewhat, but not completely. There is more that meets the eye, actually, that we need to get into. One of the reasons why the Studio A1 decided to give it over to Studio Dean is most likely because of the failed release of the Taizai movie. If you remember, about a year or so ago, or 2 years ago, there was a release announcement for the Taizai movie. It came out, and it didn't really do that well in sales. Because it didn't do so well in sales, you could kind of say that it was a failed product. It was a failed release for Taizai, and because of that utter failure, which normally anime is supposed to boost ratings, supposed to boost manga ratings, etc., and the anime obviously wasn't really doing that, they pretty much axed the project and just gave it over to another team, which that's where Studio Dean comes in. So at the end of the day, Taizai has been riddled with a bunch of problems, and it's just been a domino effect that's eventually led to this very point with the latest season. And honestly, I feel really bad for the story. I kind of feel bad for Studio Dean, and it's depressing, honestly, that something like Taizai has to have such an abomination for an anime adaptation. But yeah, that's usually what happens, honestly. Not every anime really can be like My Hero Academia, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, etc. You get my point. Not every anime shonen series can get a beautiful anime, and Taizai is obviously one of those series that is suffering in that regard. But, yeah, let me know your thoughts. How do you feel about the latest season of Taizai? Do you think it's absolutely crap, or, am I being too harsh on it? Be honest in the comments below. But with that, I love you guys. Be safe, stay healthy. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.